Hey everyone, welcome again to Indian Story Read Along. Today's story is from a book called Tales Told by Sri Ramakrishna. And Sri Ramakrishna was one could call him a modern day saint in India. He lived up north near the Kolkata area and he was very much into Mother Kali. And this was in the 1800s. So he had lots of disciples. And what he liked to do was tell them stories to kind of drive home the point of the things that he taught them. So this is one of those stories. This is called The Learned Pandit. A Pandit is somebody who was like a scholar or a teacher back in the day. There were a lot of people who were like priests or they taught school children, that kind of thing. So they would call them Panditji and they were very respected. They still are. So this is the learned Pandit. One day, several men were being ferried across a river. Among them was a Pandit. And this was also very common, boatmen who would just ferry people across the river where there were huge rivers like the Ganga, Yamuna. In places like Kashi or in Haridwar, there were a lot of people who this was their main job. So there they are in the boat, and the Pandit there is getting bored. He says, "I'll talk to one of those fellows. Not that it will benefit me in any way, but it will at least help me pass the time." So you kind of know what kind of a guy this is. He's not very nice to other people. So he says to the guy next to him, "Who are you? Where do you come from?" And the guy beside him says, "I'm a farmer, good sir, from a village on the other side of the river." And then the Pandit says, "I am a scholar. I have made a deep study of the Upanishads." Upanishads are a set of books that have a lot of scholarly teachings to them, and they are all in Sanskrit. So first of all, you have to learn how to read. Back then, not a lot of people knew how to read or write, except for the scholars like this Panditji. And then you have to learn how to read something like Sanskrit, which is really hard compared to local languages like Hindi or Tamil or Gujarati or something. Sanskrit's a very ancient language, so you have to learn a whole other language just to know what these things mean. So he says, "I've made a deep study of the Upanishads. Have you read the Upanishads?" And the farmer's like, "No, sir, I haven't." And I hope everyone else here is like not very impressed with this guy. So look, the Panditji looks all scandalized there and he's like, "You haven't? You poor fellow. A quarter of your life has been wasted." That's really a conceited thing to say because he doesn't know anything about this guy's life or what he's been doing with it. And then he goes, "Well, you must have read the Shastras then." Shastras are just like general scriptures. It's a word for scriptures in general in Hinduism. And then this guy, the farmer, says, "No, sir, I can't say that I have." And then the Panditji is feeling all good about himself, making someone else feel like they're not too smart. And he says, "Then half your life is gone. What about the 6 systems of philosophy?" This is just like super advanced stuff. And you know what? People like this who know that they're just talking to ordinary people when they themselves are very educated, they're just trying to make them feel bad. He's not really asking, "Hey, have you read this? Have you read that?" just to make conversation. He's just trying to feel good about himself by putting other people down. So that's what he's really like. And so the farmer says, "I'm afraid I haven't even heard of them, sir." Neither have I'll be honest. I haven't either. And so he says, "Not heard of them? Then my friend, 3/4 of your life, hey, the boat, it's..." Do you see what's going on there? Storm is a brewing. Rivers are not just like little streams in India. They are big, fat rivers, and it takes a while to get from one side to the other, and a storm can come at any moment, especially during monsoon season. So then the ferryman says to everybody, "It's a storm. I can't control the boat. It's going to turn over. Jump overboard and swim to the shore." So he can't control it. So the only chance everybody has is they have to swim. And then what happens here? Look at the farmer. He's kind of smiling, a little bit of a smug look on his face there. And he goes, "Good sir, I hope you know how to swim." And then Panditji there says, no, I've never learned swimming in my life. And he's like, jumping into the water, the farmer, and says, "Never learned swimming? Then your whole life is gone, Panditji," literally. And then, so I hope he survived. We don't know. Then the moral of the story, always a moral to every one of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's stories, is down there at the bottom in green. Knowledge derived from books is not enough. One must acquire practical learning too. So do you know what that means? It doesn't matter if you get 100% on your math sheet. Sure, your parents will be proud of you. That's nice. But like if you don't know how to spend money properly, then what good was all of that math, right? So that's a small example. This guy, he could have just learned swimming just like anyone else. He didn't have to do all that hard stuff like Sanskrit and studying for years and years and years. But that's a life skill. And really, it's too bad he didn't know it at that time he needed it. And also, I think another nice moral is don't be mean to people unnecessarily. I don't know. It's kind of like karmic. This guy was really awful to everybody else on the boat, and then look what happened before the boat ride was over. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this story. For more stories like this, join us again on Indian Story Read Along. And if you like the story, just think about subscribing to this channel. See you next time.